Start with Haney Nada, Acme Capital co-founder and managing partner. Haney, good to see you. I'm a little worried about the semiconductor business. Right now, it seems like all the messages are about chip shortage, not enough chips. But this is a boom-bust cycle type business. We've seen Intel pushing into foundries with that $40 billion investment. TSMC announcing that they're investing $100 billion in capacity over the next 3 years. I mean, are we going to end up with a glut?
I don't think so, John. I think we talked about this a little bit last time. COVID has really shown us the importance of technology. You're starting to see technology influence and become part of just about everything in our daily lives, and also for businesses as well. Whether you think about it from IoT perspective, whether you think about cars, every piece of machinery, every piece of product that we're going to see in the future will have chips in it. So I think the supply that you're about to see is going to be pretty well absorbed into the marketplace pretty quickly.
And so where does the interest in Kinoxia fit into that, coming from Micron and Western Digital, and sort of maybe this effort to consolidate a bit, build up IP?
Yeah, well, I think it's different for each of the companies. For Western Digital, it's definitely a defensive move, right? I think everybody's seeing the writing on the wall. Spindle storage will face the same fate that tape storage has. And I think flash memory is the future. And this is a really strong way for Western Digital to establish leadership there. For Micron, I think it's a much more aggressive move. It's basically moving to fortify its position as a leader in flash memory. So I think the two have very different perspectives as to why, but it makes it really interesting to see the dynamic that's happening.
Haney, good morning. It's Deirdre. Kayla's reporting raises the question of whether American companies were as prepared for the chip shortage as some others like Toyota. So I wonder, is this a manufacturing problem, or do American companies need a better grasp of their supply chain vulnerabilities? And how could the findings, affect the infrastructure bill and the semi-industry's place in it?
Yeah, I think we talked a little bit this. I think I talked about with this Carl last time we debated about it. I think the U.S. Manufacturing sector has kind of gone through a pretty big metamorphosis in the 90s and the early 2000s with a move to just-in-time inventory management, meaning that you're just ordering just enough product to fulfill this week's demand or supply. And so because of that, and because of the disruptions of COVID, disruptions that you're seeing in the Suez Canal, potential disruptions in climate change, I think people have to rethink just-in-time inventory management and really think about much more robust supply chains if they want to be able to withstand these shocks that we're all of a sudden starting to see. And Toyota, by the way, has done a masterful job. Sorry, Carl.
No. I was gonna follow on your line of thinking there. There's a great report out of Axios this morning, sort of delineating how Biden communicated yesterday, and they point out that he used the words roads twice, and he used the word China 6 times in framing the infrastructure package. I wonder, how effective do you think, from the chip angle, the relationship between the U.S. and China and the U.S. loss of semi-share over the past few decades is going to be in trying to sell this to lawmakers and the public?
It's interesting. I'm starting to see here some of the same questions investors are asking their companies. What's your supply chain look like? Do you have a supplier or suppliers in Asia, specifically China and or Taiwan? And do you have second sources for those? I think that you're going to see the war on words between U.S. and China continue. I think you're going to see hopefully we don't see this, but I think there is a chance of conflict, especially around Taiwan. And as you know, Taiwan is the large supplier of semiconductors in the world. And I think a lot of people are now trying to figure out, where can I second source the supply in the future in case anything happens? And so I think it's a real threat to technology, and I think it's a real threat to our economy if people aren't thinking about the supply chains appropriately and not thinking about second sourcing from a diversified global perspective.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.